All right, now Tim Scott just announced he's running for Senate again in 2028. And it's the same Tim Scott who said 2022 is going to be his last term. The same Tim Scott whose first office was in Myrtle Beach, the city with documented federal discrimination against black bikers every Memorial Day. The same Tim Scott who stands on national television and says America is not a racist country. And he still wants 6 more years. South Carolina, I got some questions for you. Let's talk about it. What it do, twin? It's your aunt from the A, and today we're getting into South Carolina politics specifically because this matters beyond just one state. This affects so many people. Tim Scott in the United States Senate affects every single black American in this country. His votes, his silence, his performance for people who never fully accept him. All of it has consequences that go way beyond South Carolina borders. So today we're asking the question South Carolina needs to start answering right now, 2 years before the election. Who can beat Tim Scott in 2028? And what is it going to take? Let's get into it. First, let me be completely real about why Tim Scott keeps winning. Because if we're going to talk about beating him, we have to be honest about the challenge in front of us. Number one, South Carolina is deep red. The state hasn't elected a Democratic senator since 1998. That's almost 30 years, twin. The structural advantage he has just from the name is enormous before a single vote is cast. Number two, he was appointed first. Governor Nikki Haley handed him the seat in 2013. He never had to win a genuinely competitive race to get there. Incumbency advantage is real and it compounds over time. And number three, and this is the biggest one, the money. In 2022, Tim Scott raised $44 million for his Senate race. The Democratic challenger, Crystal Matthews, raised $131,000. 44 million versus 131,000. That is not a race. That is an execution. The Republican Party and its national donors treat Tim Scott as a protected asset. He gives them cover. He is their answer every single time somebody raises questions about race in the party. They will spend whatever it takes to keep him in the seat. And the Democratic Party has never, not once, invested seriously in South Carolina, never committed the resources needed to make the race genuinely competitive. Until they do, no challenger wins regardless of how good they are. So, the first thing that has to change is not the candidate, it's the investment. Now, let's talk about the last person who actually ran against him because she deserves to be recognized. Crystal Matthews. She's a state representative from Berkeley County, South Carolina. She's a black woman, single mother of five, worked at Boeing, beat a 4-term Republican incumbent to win her state House seat in 2018. And she ran against Tim Scott in 22 with 131,000 against his 44 million. And she still got 38% of the vote. 38% with essentially no money against one of the best funded Republican incumbents in the country is not a failure. That is a foundation. That is proof that the argument works when people can actually hear it. She said something that I think about a lot. People want somebody authentic and real. They're tired of people posing to be caring and then find out they don't even show up for them. That is the exact argument that beats Tim Scott. Authenticity versus performance. Showing up versus silence. Whether it's Crystal Matthews running again or somebody new stepping up, that is the case that wins in South Carolina. Not policy alone, not party affiliation alone, just showing up, being real, and having enough money to actually be heard. So, what does a winning campaign look like? What does a campaign that actually beats Tim Scott in 2028 look like? Let me break it down practically. First, voter, voter registration. South Carolina's black population is 27%, but registration gaps and turnout gaps mean that political power is not proportional to population. A serious campaign needs to register a minimum of 150,000 new voters, black voters, young voters, working class voters who have been told their vote doesn't matter. It matters, twin. That's why they keep making it harder to cast one. Second, the money has to be committed early. The Democratic Party and progressive donors need to make a real commitment to South Carolina now, not 6 months before the election. Now, you cannot close a $44 million gap with a late start and good intentions. Third, make the Myrtle Beach story a statewide conversation. 400,000 black bikers experiencing documented discrimination in the third largest motorcycle rally in the country. And the incumbent senator whose first office was in that city has never said a single word about it. That is a campaign ad. That is a debate moment. That is a voter registration tool that connects directly to people's lived experiences. Fourth, use the Tim Scott clip, the one where he describes being pulled over 5 times for driving while black, and then says America is not a racist country. In that exact same speech, play that at every rally. Let South Carolina voters hear it directly from his own mouth. Fifth, the broken promise. He said 2022 was his last term. He is running again. That is a character issue. If he will break his words to his own constituents, what else will he break his word on? These are not complicated arguments, Twin. These are documented facts. And facts win races when enough people actually hear them. Now, here is what I need from South Carolina people directly. If you're a black South Carolinian who is tired of being represented by someone who performs for people who don't represent your interests, this is your moment. Not in October 28th, right now. Register to vote today. Get your family registered. Get your neighbors registered. Get your church registered. Get your motorcycle club registered, especially if you ride to Myrtle Beach every Memorial Day. And you know exactly what I'm talking about firsthand. Find out who is stepping up to challenge Tim Scott. Support them early. Because here's something I want you to think about. Crystal Matthews raised $131K against a $44 million machine. If even a fraction of the 400,000 black bikers who showed up to Myrtle Beach every Memorial Day donated just $5 to the right challenger, that's $2 million right there from one community that Tim Scott has represented for over 10 years and never, ever once spoken up for. That is what people power actually looks like. Not just voting, organizing, contributing, showing up before election day, not just on it. And if you are somebody in South Carolina who is thinking about running, somebody who has been watching this and thinking they could do better, I want you to hear this directly. The story is there. The argument is there. The receipts are there. What has been missing is investment and infrastructure. And both of those can be built. South Carolina deserves a senator who actually shows up for all of South Carolina. 2028 starts today. South Carolina, drop it in the comments. If you went to Bike Week and you traveled that 23-mile loop, drop it in the comments. Hit me with a video. Show me that you were there and that you're interested in this. Show me that you want to change and not every year we go down to South Carolina to Black Bike Week and they change the whole script on us. They putting up barriers. We can't even go down to Myrtle Beach Week. And for those who don't know, the action ain't in Myrtle Beach. It's actually in Atlantic Beach. That's where they want you. They want you in Atlantic Beach, and that's where you should go. That's where it's actually most fun. It's not in Myrtle Beach, in the city of Myrtle Beach. There's always a debate of, hey, should we go somewhere else because they don't want our money there in Myrtle Beach? Nah, just go to Atlantic Beach. That's what you should be doing. So if you from South Carolina and you hear me and you understand what I'm talking about, you've been to Black Bike Week and you've heard about what they did during Black Bike Week instead of Harley Week, you know what I'm talking about. Drop it in the comments. Who do you think should run against Tim Scott in 2028? Is it Crystal Matthews again? Somebody completely new? What does the right candidate look like to you? And Black bikers, I especially want to hear from you because you know I'm a biker because your community is 400,000 people strong. And you've been showing up to Myrtle Beach every Memorial Day for decades. I've been watching you guys. We've been watching you. The whole world is watching. Dealing with documented discrimination while your senator stays silent. You got power, twin. Real power. Electoral power. Economic power. Community power. Use it. Drop it below. I read every comment and share this video in South Carolina specifically because this conversation needs to be happening right now, not in 2027. Let me calm down, y'all. Y'all know I get hype about bikers, man. Y'all know y'all my people, man. Well, y'all know we got to do something, man. Look at all these pretty bikes I showed you guys today, man. Look at all these people. These don't look like people that's trying to be rowdy, as they said. That's why they put up the loop. Meanwhile, in Harley Bike Week, they done had 8 accidents this year. Black Bike Week had 3 accidents this year. They even sent a few police officers to the hospital during Harley Week. But during Black Bike Week, they put you on that 23-mile loop with $6 in gas. No, it's probably about $5 in gas. $5 a gallon gas. Let's make Tim Scott. Tim Scott said in 2022 it was his last term. Let's help him out, y'all. He's long overdue because now he wants 6 more years. South Carolina, you have 2 years to decide if that's what you want. Maybe that's what you want. Start deciding now. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I'm just here to make sure we don't forget what the choice actually is. Subscribe, hit the bell, share this one in South Carolina. I'm with Aunt from the A, and I'll see you in the next one.